Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, we're ready to go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Now you can. Yeah, my speaker's really weird. I don't know. It has a
I think there's a bit of a delay there.
Yeah, it has a pretty good delay, and I don't know why. Is there any requests to speak? I would
No.
guess not. But so I guess we just review the summary report from last meeting, and I doubt. Well, I didn't see any changes on it from when I looked at it. So motion to accept the summary report. Moved by Michael, seconded by Ava. All in favor? Great. Okay, so moving on to deputations and presentations. Does Alex have anything for us, or Franz?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
So
The
we're
only
just,
item I had was later on the agenda, so I'm all good. Thanks.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, I was saying I don't have anything. The one that I had was later on for unfinished business.
Right. Well, I'm just looking at the agenda, and you're basically the next thing, youth programming priority. So you could go
Gotcha.
ahead and start.
Just so you know, Mateus, whenever you go through the first three items, like review of summary report, deputations, and correspondence, those are on every meeting. So those are part of every formal meeting, so that if there was somebody other than Alex, that was like somebody from the OPP, for example, was coming, they would be under there. Or if Mayor Millen was joining us as a guest speaker, he would be there.
Right.
So yeah.
So if there's nothing there, just skip over it.
Yep. If there's nobody listed there and there's no correspondence listed under the actual item itself, then you can just move on and go to the next item.
Okay. Just mentioning OPP, I did read the email that Officer Chamberlain wasn't going to be here this time. Do you know when he's going to be in next?
I'm actually going to invite him to join us at our next meeting and give the committee an update, as well as the town, actually, by way of our report that goes to council, a report on the progress of that project, because COVID kind of put a lot of things on the back burners, but he was also able to keep a lot of things sort of on the fire along the way and keep things moving forward. So I just want to see where he's at with fundraising efforts, and then we can see what we can do now that we're hopefully in, different, safer times. We might have better and bigger things that we could do to help move things like that along. So I'm going to ask him to join us at our next meeting and provide an update on the project and the progress as well. So he'll be joining us next.
Sounds good. Okay, so since we skip over everything, we start with Alex in the Youth Programming Priorities Workshop, which is him, and then our 3 recommendations each.
Yeah, so just as a quick summary for anyone watching at home, at last meeting, we discussed the results of the youth programming survey that went out to youth in the town. We had over 60 responses, I believe, and identified a couple different areas of where youth wanted to see some new types of programming offered by the town. So as a takeaway, each member was going to review it, think about it, and then this meeting come with their top 3 recommendations and to speak to why you like those 3 as an option. And then we'll take some notes here, and then as a committee, we can decide our top 3, all of us, and which would be the recommendations for council to put forward to staff to offer those 3 types of programs. So did everyone have a chance to review, and does everyone have their top 3? I think seeing some nodding heads, which is great. Perfect. Okay, so Chair, I don't know if you want to go around and just have people give them the floor and they can have their 2 cents, or if you want me to lead it, I'm happy to do that as well.
3 recommendations. I have to just I looked back at your presentation, and just from my general thought process, I think obviously sports are going to be important. STEM is another one that's up and coming, and I think a good idea is tutoring, because there is a lot of tutors in the general span of everywhere around here, but it's never really concentrated, and it kind of is a little bit difficult to figure out who they are, because everybody knows they exist, but there's no real name behind it. That's just my 2 cents. And I'll just go straight along my Zoom thing here. So then next, Ava can go.
We can't hear you, Ava. I'm wondering, you're not showing a microphone, so. Yeah, your microphone's not working. Did you join with computer audio when you joined? You did, okay. Not sure why it's not working. Is your mic built into your computer? Okay. You might need to leave and then rejoin us to see if that fixes your audio, because it's showing me here that your microphone is on, but we can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, try going out. Yeah, if maybe she just comes out and comes back in, it will. Because
Sometimes-
even the 10-second delay with Mateus when he spoke, that happened again. Must be in a different sort of connection or connection issues out there, perhaps. Okay, so why don't we go on to Mr. Chair? Why don't you move on to somebody else until Ava comes back, and we'll come back to her.
Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay,
Wait, let's try Ava. Wait, Ava's back.
there she is. Okay, then she
No.
can go ahead. Then Lucas.
Ava, do you want to try speaking? We can't hear anything. No.
Oh,
All right, I guess we could just move on to Lucas now. For now.
what do we?
Well, there is a chat. I was thinking there is like a text chat thing in here that maybe you could type your 3 into, but I don't know how to open that. I think Pam would have to open that up.
Yeah,
Could
and our
we-
meetings are set up so that we don't allow the chat. The chat is actually disabled. That's one of the things when we started with the Zoom, they had discussed not having the chat. I don't know if I can override that while I'm in the meeting, but I will see if you want to move on to someone else.
If Ava wants to maybe email hers to either me or you, Pam, we could. I mean, we could share it.
Yeah, there's a new function called whiteboard. I don't really know what it does. Okay, maybe that's not. Sorry, guys. No, I don't know how to get rid of it.
I think Ava could technically write her answers on this whiteboard, although it might be a challenge. I don't know if people can see what I'm writing right now.
You know what we could do is we could go through the ones that we can go through, and then we can forward. If everybody could just forward theirs on, or we could forward it on to the members that aren't here. And if there are any like presentations or pictures or PowerPoints or stuff like that, we could attach it. Because there was Matthew, Tay, and Nishani that weren't here tonight as well. So, I mean, they can sort of catch up via the meeting. Ava, if you want to forward yours to Pam or to me, I'd be happy to read it out, and Pam can share the screen so that we can at least have it there.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just, does anyone have any thoughts on how to get rid of the whiteboard now? I'm so sorry. I thought it might have been a good thing. But even clicking on the whiteboard again, it doesn't allow me. Sorry.
That's all right. Maybe
There
that
might
was
be
the
a
reason
button
we
at
don't
the
do it.
very top, like where it has the green and the black bar. I think if you pull that down.
Sorry, green and black bar.
At the very top of your screen, is there like a bar?
Oh, wait, here we go. Close whiteboard. Huh. Never mind. Have to read. Okay.
Won't do that again, will you, Pam?
No, learning things on the fly here. All right. Sorry about that. All right.
You want me to
so-
move on?
Yes.
So Ava, yeah, if you just want to forward it by email, I'm happy to share it for you, okay? Perfect.
Okay. She's got,
Oh. Steam. Music, and the bottom one. Does that say tutor? It does. Okay. Thanks, Ava. Okay, now, Mr. Chair, move on.
All right. So Lucas, you could give me or give us what you think's a good idea next.
Okay, so I was thinking that maybe for one of them we can do a games club, since that was one thing that a lot of people were interested in. And I was thinking that maybe some kids could bring in their own games and then they can collaborate and learn new games with each other. The second option, since sports was another popular one, I was thinking kind of like an intramural model, since it would be hard just to like do one sport. If you do intramural, you can probably do different types of sports and like switch depending on how often we do it. And then 3, maybe an art club, and we can have someone lead an art activity, and maybe some volunteers can help with that too.
Those are great ideas.
Thank
And
you.
is that what I always wondered? I don't know. What does intramural actually mean? Is that what that means? You get to, so you play sports for 6 months, but you don't play volleyball for 6 months. You play different things.
I think so. I'm
Yeah,
not.
that's it, 'cause that's what it said.
I think so.
Is that something viable, Alex? Do we do that currently, or is that something that
So we don't currently run sports leagues per se. We try to offer, the town kind of takes a standpoint of, we're trying to offer grassroots, introduce you to the program. And then if you are excited, you can go out to the community, to the more competitive clubs there. But yeah, if we kept it grassroots, it's absolutely something we could look at.
Okay, great. Those are great ideas, Lucas. Thanks.
All right. So next we move on to Levi, and you could tell us what you think. You there, Levi? Maybe his computer's not working. Okay, so for now we can move on to Megan and tell us what you think.
Hi. I was thinking about it, and I tried to pick ones that are kind of a little more unconventional, because I feel like the community has a lot of sports leagues and like art studios. We have like the Gibson Center for drama. So I thought one would be like the photography and the videography, because I know a few of my friends are into stuff like that. The STEM, which I think would be good. And like Lucas said, gaming, because I could see a lot of people coming in and just having fun with that. And for the STEM, I thought it'd be a good idea to get some volunteers in for tutoring, because then they could earn hours and help people out. So yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's good.
Great
Okay,
idea.
so next, well, Nishani is here, so next we can move on to Nishani. Tell us what you think.
Hi, I want to make sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
We can.
So I chose my 3 options was STEAM, there was tutoring, and then there was art. But now that I think about it, I feel like sports should go in somewhere. So I'm gonna like remove tutoring, because tutoring is gonna be less, because you're gonna have to find a lot of people just to tutor them, and it's gonna be really hard to find the right people. So I think just sports, STEM, and arts could be the 3 good options.
Yeah, it's good. Cool. Thank you. So that's I guess Alex was writing all that down, right? Hopefully.
I got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm keeping track
Yeah.
I
too.
was writing it down too. So I'm just going to tell you, as I've been scribbling, and Pam and Alex can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we're netting out at the top 3 being STEM and tutoring and games of some sort. I'm hearing those as the top 3. Am I wrong?
No, I think that's what I got.
Yeah. Okay.
But hold on, let's see.
Yeah, Lucas, for your games club, were you thinking like electronic gaming as opposed to like board games? I know I'm probably the only guy thinking board games, but I didn't know which way you were thinking with games club.
I don't know how it would work, but if we could do both, maybe we can have some board games, maybe some like computer games. I think it can be like both ways. I don't know
Awesome.
how that would work, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just making sure everyone who said gaming a couple kind of lines up. So I think that makes sense.
France, did you have any ideas? I had a few as well, and I'll share them with you as well, but I wonder if you had any.
Yeah, definitely STEM. I think that's really important because it's not just about entertainment, it's also about where we're going with our lives in the future. So I love to pour into STEM programming. The arts, especially around personal expression or art therapy even. Like I really like how arts can be used in many creative ways that we're not really taught to use them. So I liked art, STEM, and music. Again, I know there are people that take classes and have lessons where their family pay, but having the open mic concept and having people come out, I mean, I think that's a great opportunity for people to really excel in music. So I like that, but I also like gaming. I'm kind of going into 4 because I see gaming as something that can be a crossover to some of the other areas and can be used really creatively. I don't want to expand on that, but we could discuss it. And then the tutoring and the volunteering, I also felt were really important, but I didn't see it as a separate program versus this is a great space that we can actually be having a lot of flyers and connections and having people from the community coming in that are wanting to talk about volunteering or having tutoring. So I think the tutoring and the volunteering flows with whatever the 3 are that we focus on, is what I'm saying. And I think there's some creative ways to support both of those.
Excellent. Thank you. So I agree. And I think that STEM is obviously, that is something that that's the way of the future, STEM, STEAM, that kind of programming, coding, technology, gaming. The only concern I would have if we went down the route with arts, because there's certainly merit in exploring some of those areas. Arts is a very broad area, right? But I wouldn't want to be in a position where you would be trying to duplicate a service that's already being offered or duplicate something that's already being provided at one of the cultural centers or the Gibson Center or the theater or something like that. But that said, I know quite a few photographers and videographers in New Tecumseh, in Alliston and Tottenham, and they are not only very talented in the profession that they do, they're also very community-minded people and have given of their time over the years as well. They're really great people. So I mean, that sort of fuses it into a tutoring thing, right? I think that's the other piece that was sticking out. And I like that because my wheelhouse in my work when I'm not in politics is training and development. And that's what I did for many, many years. And you should never stop learning. And you should never be afraid to jump into something a little new every few years and explore different options. And the only way to do that while still being able to put food on the table and keep a roof over your head is by skills development and training. And I think that, that piece is the way of the future as well. And maybe staff and council need to look towards through the Parks and Rec Master Plan to give consideration towards providing some training and development space that can be used by both youth and adults for things like computer skills, safe surfing, safe social media. We could do self-defense courses for adults and youth. We could do, arts and yoga classes. You can do anything in a space like that. You can provide youth with their babysitting certifications, their first aid certifications. I mean, what better place to go and learn CPR and first aid if you have to than with a bunch of youth, rather than, sometimes it's hard to get into those sessions. So I think there might be some merit in exploring that sort of element as well. These are
It's a
all
really
very
good idea.
Go ahead.
Me? Oh, that's a really good idea, Michael. I haven't even considered it that way because I don't know. It was outside of kind of just the list Alex gave us, and it really wasn't even a second thought to me in that way. But that's a very good idea.
We have a lot of very talented people in the arts in New Tecumseh. It's a very rich, diverse community and talented. Whether it's the drama, whether it's visual arts, whether it's photography and videography. So there's some great people out there that could partner with us and do some great things. So those are sort of our top three, right? STEM, sports, and what's the third? Are we looking at tutoring and skills development? Or are we looking at art, photography?
I don't think you'll get as big of a turnout because photography is it's more niche and specific than generic skills development would be. That's just my thought process.
I agree with you. Nishani?
Can we not mix tutoring and photography together so it's easier?
One really doesn't have anything to do with the other.
Well, it could. If there was somebody local that was willing to, when you think about signing up for electives or co-ops or stuff like that at school, I mean, if there's somebody, a local photographer or videographer that was looking for some help, and somebody or an apprentice or an assistant, and somebody was willing to sort of take that time and learn. I mean, maybe tutoring and mentoring are the two sort of things that are cohesive, right? Versus actual photography. I know what you're saying. But with tutoring and skills development, that means many things. That opens many, many doors and opportunities. And photography is certainly one of them, because there are a lot of talented local photographers and artists that would be part of programs like that, if especially if youth were interested in learning the business now, before perhaps maybe deciding to pursue it at post-secondary, right? So it's definitely something. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so top three: STEM, sports, tutoring, skills development. Are we? Yes? Megan, go ahead.
Plan.
Just with tutoring, you mean like skill development in the areas of like photography, like what you're talking about, or do you mean tutoring like, oh, I need help with my math homework?
It's and that's why tutoring is very focused. That's an actual skill that you need to acquire, whereas skills development can mean anything. Skills development means, what do you need to do on a professional capacity to improve your resume for post-secondary education? What are the ways and means we can do that? Well, volunteer hours. If you needed any tutoring, if you could mentor others that were thinking of going into what you were, it opens a lot of doors, so to speak.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that those three will be the ones, and sports I kind of, you know, when people say sports, they'll think, oh, is it like hockey, baseball? Well, we already have that. I'm thinking more along the lines of, you know, sports for people that aren't in sports. And that is sort of, you know, I'm thinking of the intramural model. If the town of New Tecumseh opened gym space for a 3 or 4 month period in the winter, and it wasn't just a volleyball that was only a volleyball league, and it wasn't just a basketball that was only a basketball league, and it was for people that wanted to play different indoor sports through the winter in a gymnasium versus a pool or soccer pitch or anything, then there's like, you're doing different things. You're not signing up for one event. And that kind of gets you, you know, you immerse yourself in a few different sports, and you may decide that one of them is the league you join next. But I think that we have a big opportunity to provide programming and options for people that don't have the long-term commitment, whether it be financially or work-wise or lifestyle, to commit to being in a hockey arena 3 days a week or be gone. Like, there are a lot of families that don't have those kinds of time constraints, but they still want to be part of their community, and they still want to have recreational opportunities. And so we need to think differently about, because our residents are different now. We have a diverse group of residents. It's not the small hockey town that it was and always would have been. Things are changing. And so with that, we have to provide different things for different options for people as well. Well, those are all great ideas. And thank you very much for going through this process and sharing your thoughts. I had a couple, and I sent them along to Pam. And so we'll sort of cap off the discussion with my couple little pieces, and then we'll go from there. So Pam, if you could put up the little PowerPoint I send you, please, because I'm terrified of sharing my screen. I did it on a conference call once, and like 35 people all automatically said, "Who's sharing their screen?" It was the most mortifying moment of my life. So I never share screens now.
Sorry, I'm looking for, did you send it to me?
I emailed it to you, I think. I did, yeah. Oh, no, hang on.
Just keeping me on my toes, are you?
Well, you know, I've been on call for 48 hours, and I was just sort of trying to get myself turned around and back into daytime weekday mode. And the one thing I should have done, I forgot. I sent you an email. I just didn't send you the attachment. And that's totally me lately. I did just email it to you now.
Okay, sometimes it takes a minute.
Okay.
So as soon as I get it, we will share. So Alex, do you have enough information right now?
I think we have some good information here. Yeah. I was going to say the one member we didn't get a chance to hear from, because I don't think, Levi, you were at your computer when Mateus had asked, but it looks like you're back now. I don't know if your top three aligned with the discussion there, or if you want to give us your top three.
Yeah. Go ahead, Levi. I think when we called on you, your video was on.
Yeah, it seems, Levi, your microphone's not working well either. It's coming through very garbled. Is that what everyone else is hearing?
Yes.
So if you want to email me, Levi, if you want to email your choices, then we could read them out. Or try adjusting your microphone.
I don't know my microphone. It could be my Wi-Fi.
It could be your Wi-Fi. Yeah, if you turn your camera off, then we might be able to hear you more clearly. Sometimes that helps.
There, just give it a few seconds, Levi, and then start talking.
This is
Hmm.
just email them to you if that works.
Yeah, just send them an email. Sorry about that,
Yep.
Levi. Your
Really
connection seems to be pretty bad too.
Yeah, and I don't have your presentation yet.
All
It does usually take a minute or two. And we'll just hang tight while I wait for it. Hmm.
Okay, you know what, Pam, while you're waiting for it,
Yep.
I'll just sort of, I'll just speak to it. And then if it arrives in the meantime, you can put it up. It was just basically a couple of PowerPoint slides and a couple of YouTube video links that were very short that I can speak to if you can't show them. One of the ideas I had was, has anybody heard of Play Streets? No? Nobody? Good. Okay, because I loved finding this. Play Streets have been very popular in Europe, and they've been very popular in Australia and other parts of the world. And they're actually very popular in some parts of Canada as well. And play streets are actually your streets. So whatever street you live on right now could be a play street. Play streets are simply timed road closures and that can be just either for a one-off event or for something ongoing. So some neighborhoods choose to have a certain section of their street closed once a month or once a week for kids to play. It basically transforms your streets into shared public spaces. And what happens is the streets that are chosen get closed off to vehicular traffic, and the barriers are stewarded or chaperoned or patrolled, if you will, by parents and neighbors and volunteers and any sponsors that maybe got involved that wanted to help out. And then, of course, the town could assist with barriers, providing the actual physical barriers and providing the traffic management piece, as well as giving notice to drivers ahead of time that there would be a road closure. And so thinking about how we've been through the last 2.5 years, a play street, I think, is a much safer option for kids to get outside and play over indoor spaces due to COVID-19 and what we've been through over the last couple of years. I think a lot of people that have played sports have returned to sports, but I think that a lot of people are still quite cautious about what programs and activities they return to in their normal lives or their new normal lives. And they're also looking for different ways and means of being part of their community without going to large community events. It's a great way for new families in new neighborhoods to socialize in their neighborhood with their neighborhood. And I think about that a lot because I think about, the south end of my ward. When I was a kid, parts of my ward was a potato field. I picked potatoes in that field, and now it's houses, it's families, life changes. And I just think that, over the last 30 years, New Tecumseh has grown so much, and we have so many families, so many new families living here now, and many of those families work and play outside of the municipality still. A lot of people that move here still maintain connections to professionals or appointments or services, or, in some cases, if somebody was in rep hockey or something like that, families make those decisions. But these are great ways of giving families an opportunity to socialize in their neighborhood with their neighbors without having to go to Potato Festival with 100,000 people, and without having to, go to an actual large scale event. And these are actually much safer opportunities for kids to play, and play in their own neighborhoods. And I think we have a lot of neighborhoods where, you can close small sections of the street and open that street up to basketball and hockey and cycling and scooters and hopscotch and arts and all of those things, right? And you can make a half day or a day out of it. And it's also a good way to perhaps get some sponsors in the business community, because they love getting involved in stuff like this, and they could really elevate the event as well and make it even better. So that was one of the ideas I had. It doesn't really coincide with the other three priorities, but I wanted to raise this last on a separate issue because I wanted to get your feedback on this, because this is something I would like to take to my council. And I know I would like to take it to council, knowing I have your feedback and your support as well. So I'm going to hand this over to you for a few minutes. What do you think about this idea? Do you think that this is a better way for kids to socialize and get together? Would you be part of something like this? Would you be part of it if it was in your neighborhood, it was actually your street? Would you be part of it if it was another street and you could help out for a couple of hours by either patrolling to make sure vehicles aren't in there, or helping out with games or anything like that? I want to know your thoughts on it. So, Mr. Chair, I'm going to hand it over to you, and looking forward to hearing from you. Why don't you start?
Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Okay. I like the idea. I don't know how well it would go over with people here, because obviously you said it's had success in Europe, but obviously people there are different than they are here, and the tolerance to disruption is much higher there than it would be here. I really do like the idea. I just don't know how well it's going to be received. So, and then we could just go down this list. Ava, I guess you could write on some paper what you think. No, okay.
Lucas has his card up.
All right, Lucas, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So I know, like, my street, my neighbors like coming outside, and there's a lot of new families in my area. So I think that people would be interested, because I know, like, in the summertime they like coming outside playing basketball. So I feel like if they had the whole street, it would help to get everyone outside and encourage each other. And I think it would work in my area. So that's my thoughts.
Thanks. Nishani, I see your hand up there.
So in my area, we have a park, so it's easy to do celebrations because we had like a few carnivals-ish in our parks. So I feel like for my area, it would work perfectly.
Okay. Thanks. Megan?
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm probably not the right person to ask because I live on the top of a hill with hardly any neighbors. But if it's like a busy street, kind of like what Lucas said, I feel like it would be a pretty good idea.
Levi, what do you think?
Um, a lot of people in town, that's anything nice to walk. You guys hear me kind of?
Michael, you're also muted.
I said, oh, I said, I'm just sorry your audio's bad tonight, Levi.
Yeah, I don't think
France, what do
anybody
you
got
think?
any of that.
What do you think, France? Have you seen these before?
No, I haven't, Councillor Beatty. I haven't seen them, but I think with the increased subdivisions that are being built throughout all of our communities, I see it as something that I think would benefit our communities. Councillor Beatty, you're on mute again.
Yeah, you're on mute again.
That's like the 5th time in this meeting. This isn't right. I think I've been on Zoom a little too long. What I was saying was, I'm glad that somebody mentioned parks, because neighborhood pop-ups are another really great idea that I came across. And all a neighborhood pop-up is basically a play street in one of our local parks. So instead of you closing the street, if we had a neighborhood pop-up calendar or schedule for the month of, or for the summer, we would have pop-up events in all of our neighborhood parks throughout New Tech versus the play streets that are actually closed. So with the neighborhood parks, they wouldn't have to be closed. You would just bring in whatever you wanted for the day to actually have at the park. So it's a similar to the play street, but using our actual parks. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think it's a great idea from the sense of, communities don't naturally come together and socialize like they did 20, 30, 40 years ago, kind of a thing. Not to date myself, but when I was a kid, before video games were big, yeah, like all the kids played in the street nonstop and everyone knew the neighbors, and times have changed now. Do you know what I mean? So it's a great chance for the town to step in, like you said, of new areas to run something. So I love the idea behind it. In my past, I think from former municipalities I've been with, they've ran similar sort of events. I find if there's any kind of free food involved, that is a nice piece, because that gets people out. If it's a barbecue in the park or whatever, or if it's in the street, sometimes something different. Something I've seen is if a parks department is about to lay a bunch of sod at a new park, you can actually lay the sod in the street and make a green street, it's been called, where you actually have like a field in the middle of the street, and as long as they're watering the sod, you can play on it for the day, and then they can transport it to the park, plant it there, and it still works. That's more of like a downtown street fun thing than a residential street, because it's a lot of work. But yeah, I think it's a great community development opportunity. Anything we can do just to provide, like you said, an opportunity for people to say, hey, this is something different, come on out, meet your neighbors. It's safe, it's outdoors. I think it's wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. So are we in agreement or in consensus that there's merit in perhaps me taking a potential play streets policy to council so that they could have our staff work on it? Because I see a lot of these things happening all over North America. They're becoming very popular in Canada. Things like this have become very popular over the last couple of years for obvious reasons, right? Because it's different ways of doing different things. And I think you found, like, I'm reminded of the restaurant patio program. Well, they did that not because they wanted to, because they had to. It was what we had to do to get businesses an opportunity to stay alive. And it's been one of the greatest ideas that has ever accidentally fell on us, because they're very much needed and wanted, and it's become a permanent thing. And, that's a great way of looking at a great example of returning to a new normal, right? And I think that rather than, people thinking of, large events in large indoor spaces, there's you can do so much more if you just had everybody on your street. If you had a lot of people that you were inviting most to your street, why would you have it on the street? And if there's ways and means of doing that and bringing communities together, especially a growing community with a lot of residents that are still getting to know their community, this is a great way to do that, rather than hoping they turn out for hockey or a club or a service organization or something, right? Life's busy like that. But we're never too busy to step outside on a Saturday morning for a few hours with our neighbors, right? So I think we should give it a look.
It's a good idea to go ahead and explore. Like I said, be your side of everything with council, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
I think what we'll do then is we'll just, Pam, we'll move a motion that the verbal report of Councillor Beattie be received, and further that a play streets policy be forwarded to council by Councillor Beattie for further deliberation.
I would
How's
move
that
that motion, no?
So are you, sorry, I just want clarification. So are you going to write, like, put it on the agenda as a counselor's motion, like a written motion?
I'm going to introduce it as a, well, oh, I see what you're asking.
Yeah, because then we don't need, I mean, we can accept the verbal report. I can have some segments in here and, that we reviewed some suggestions and you received feedback and whatnot. If you're taking this.
And further that the Youth Advisory Committee advise council and staff to explore.
Okay, so you want this motion to come from the Youth Advisory Committee. So you're not bringing a motion.
Yeah, I want it to be the Youth Advisory Committee's vote and recommendation to council that they explore a play streets policy.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Sorry.
Well, that the verbal report be received and further that staff investigate or explore a play street policy, for the town of Tecumseh, and that a staff report is forwarded to council.
Yes. And at council, I will pull the report and I will do a PowerPoint that I can nail for a change. And I will speak for a few minutes so that members of council and staff and those watching know what we have. And there's a lot of things that I didn't want to bore our committee with, like the starter kit, everything you need to know to get one started, and the equipment and the stuff you need, and share. I didn't want to bore you with all that, but there's things like that all have to be taken into account. I'm just thinking from the lens of what if this is what we want to do for residents, then how do we package it up in a policy for council to adopt and staff to enforce, and a package for residents to easily get their hands on and be shepherded through the process to get it to fruition.
So then your presentation is going to come with this report, but obviously then before the staff report.
Yes.
Right.
Because I'm going to share in a general way for a few minutes for council what we discussed and what I'm talking about and what they actually are.
Right. And then if council approves,
and then if council have questions, I can answer those questions. And if I can't, then I can not answer the question and we can defer it to staff for further investigation.
Yeah.
But if somebody asks about like, well, where are they down here? I can answer that. If somebody asks about, well, what do you have to do? Do you have to put together? Well, I've thought about that. here's what I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll answer as many questions as I can field, but I just think, in terms of having a policy and having a package that somebody picks up, these wheels have already been invented. It's just a
Okay.
matter of customizing it and localizing it so that it coincides with our bylaws and our traffic management and safety and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So then this report is not going to go on committee of the whole until May 30th. Because that's our next council meeting. It won't be on for Mondays.
Okay,
That work for you?
that works for me.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you.
All right, so I guess we move on to the local government week, no?
Yeah. Unless there's any other motion for the youth programming, or are we waiting to get some feedback from the members that weren't here and we can finalize a motion at the next meeting?
I think what we should do is maybe I think we should send a motion with this report, identifying that the committee did a workshop on different options they felt, made the top 3 based on their research, their deliberation, as well as Alex and his team's input and information they provided, and the help that they've provided with survey responses. So between Alex and his team and our team, we've culminated all that into what we think are the top 3 areas that you really need to focus on when you look at a youth services component in the town of New Tecumseh, and they are.
Okay, so the committee is going to recommend that staff proceed with establishing youth programs that include STEM, sports, and tutoring.
I would say mentorship / skills development.
Okay. So STEM.
Then,
Do we want to like intramural sports? Is that what we're talking though, right? STEM,
Yep.
intramural sports, and then skills development. What did you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Mentorship and skills development. Now, is that enough for you to go on, Alex?
I think so.
If you're at committee of the whole, Alex, I'll jump in as well for a few minutes, and I'll talk about the process in our meeting and where we netted out at, and I will make sure that everybody knows what mentorship and skills development means before they have examples. So I will try and field a lot of questions before I get them, and I will take my 7 minutes, all of them, and do what I need to do. But yeah, they're broad terms, but I will take a few minutes and narrow those down so that somebody that's thinking, well, we already have hockey and baseball, knows I'm not thinking that. We need to think bigger than that. Megan.
I'm really, really, really sorry to do this, but is there any way that I can leave? I just have a really important rehearsal and I thought we'd be done by now. I'm sorry.
It's okay, because I think, you know what? Unless there is any new business, we are at the end of the agenda anyway.
Well, yeah, we have the promotional local government week, but if Megan leaves, we still have quorum, so we're okay.
Okay, good. Megan, you can head out now.
Thank you
Don't
so
be
much.
late.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thanks for being here.
So Pam, just so I know, so the process on this one, so the Youth Advisory Committee here, the top three, will that be recommended to council for consideration, at which point they would probably throw it to ourselves for a staff report? Or am I?
No, I think if the recommendation is that staff proceed with establishing the programs that include the STEM programming, intramural sports, and mentorship and skills development, then that would probably give you the go-ahead
Okay,
to start working on the programs, because the original motion from the Parks and Recreation report was that the Youth Advisory Committee provide a recommendation to council on the delivery of youth services, which is what this will then take care of. And then that kind of gives you the go-ahead to, look into how to best deliver a STEM programming program and intramural sports and mentorship and skills development, and what space you're going to utilize to do those.
perfect. Okay, yeah, that gives us, we can start moving on that. Just so everyone knows what the way we work naturally in recreation, basically our spring and summer programming has been built and set, and registration is underway, and we're starting to work on fall programming is typically how we work. So it may be a bit of time before these are up and running, but lots of behind the scenes pieces kind of run between now and then to make it all happen. So we can definitely get started, and I can loop back to.
Yeah, and just to sort of cap it off, I can cap it off at council as well, that, keeping in mind that the term of this committee and this council winds down over the next few months, a new term of this committee and council winds up at the end of the year. What we want to do is make sure that a youth services component in the Parks, Recreation, and Culture portfolio exists and is being built and worked on. And the new council and the new committee, they can pick it up from there. But basically, because I don't even know, Alex, I don't even know if it's been discussed at council level, if they're because I know you and Dan and I have talked about it, but you're about exploring a youth services component. But I guess maybe this conversation is a good segue into wrapping council's head around having a youth services component as a service piece going forward. Keeping in mind it's not happening this year, things are set for this year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, I don't know that those conversations have happened. I can't say with certainty that they haven't.
Okay.
But this is a good catalyst to
Okay.
start those conversations happening.
Okay, well, I'm going to have it, because that's one
Perfect.
of the things I think that we need to do. And we've talked about it, and this is a good segue, because this isn't just about what we already have. This is about taking what we have, taking what we've learned, and putting something permanent in place that works for people and works for people's lives and schedules. And we're doing things differently. We're giving people more options than hockey and baseball. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Yes, the 4.2, the local government piece, I think we should just defer that to the next meeting. It's 7:30 now. Megan had to leave, and we had a couple of members that couldn't join us. That is not till October.
Do I make a motion to defer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so a motion to defer promotion item 4-2 local government week to next meeting, which is TBD. Moved by, let's see, Lucas, seconded by Ava. All in favor? Great. Well, I guess that means all we have to do is adjourn at 9:31 and 4 seconds.
9:31, where are you?
7:31.
7:31.
You in Iceland?
No, I wasn't paying attention to my clock.
International time zone out there, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we would adjourn at 7:31, but before we do that, we have to set the date for the next meeting.
Right.
And also, Pam, do you have an announcement that you would like to share?
Yes, I was actually just thinking that when we were looking at dates for the next meeting. So I am moving on from the world of committees. I have accepted another position within the town. So we're transitioning my duties and hoping that a new person will be in place shortly. And then I will help sort of get them up to speed with any of the committee stuff. So I may or may not be joining you for the next meeting. I might tag along with, if there is someone new, then I would tag along with them for a few meetings, but we're not sure yet. So, I've enjoyed my work thus far very much. It's just a good opportunity to do something else. So
Yeah, I read that email from you, Pam, and it's really been wonderful having you. You've been great to help us out with everything, and I think I speak for everybody. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the committees have been great to me too. So, sad to leave, but happy to try something new. But with that, we do have to pick the next meeting date. So, do you have a date in mind? In June, I'm guessing.
Who has to battle exams this
And
year?
when are exams?
Nobody.
Graduation, anybody? Is anybody graduating?
Yeah, Mateus is graduating. That's sad.
Mm.
Not sad, but sad that he won't be.
Do
part
I
of
have
the
to
committee.
resign when I graduate or when I turn 18? How does that work?
The terms of reference state it's grades 7 to 12. So probably at least till the end of the summer. And then it's been practiced that once you move on to university, that you're not part of the committee.
So that falls basically on my birthday anyways, which is September 19th. So it's
Yeah.
kind of the same deal. If there is any further information that you could email to me regarding that, just so I know definitively, that would be wonderful.
Do that.
Yeah, that's my only thought.
Okay.
Do you have any ideas for the date, Michael? Like sometime in a month and a half?
Right. Nishani, Lucas, you guys go ahead. You have your cards up. Yeah.
Okay. So during June, I might be a bit busy because we're preparing for EQAO and exams coming up. So I'm not sure if I'll have all my days free.
Okay. And Lucas, do you have exams?
I was
or grad-
wondering if our meeting would still be in person or online, or would it be in person?
As of right now, is the town is still in the hybrid meeting mode, if I'm not mistaken. And that means that in-person meetings council meetings have taken place, but it's only council and a handful of staff. The public have to still participate virtually.
Okay.
Has that changed, Pam?
No, so
No.
there hasn't been any movement on what they would prefer with the committee. So I think we're sort of staying in a virtual format until further notice, I guess.
Okay. So I think that probably the wisest path forward would be to set a date for a few weeks from now in June virtually. But I would like to, once we are hopefully in an even safer time, arrange for an in-person meeting. And it doesn't have to be a weekday evening. It can be anywhere. It can be during the day. It could be on the weekend. It could be, and it doesn't have to be a busy meeting. We haven't seen one another yet. And I would like to take a half a day or a day when we can do so finally and get us together so that, we can have some time together and work on some things together and also have lunch or dinner or something like that and celebrate everybody's work. So when those things can happen again, I'll be looking to do something like that where we can all get together for a couple of hours in person, whether that be for breakfast, lunch, or dinner or something like that. Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to do that? Because I remember just from however long ago that was, that 80 Laterno thing we went to, and we were only allowed a certain amount of people.
Yeah, we only, if we're in the hybrid mode, we could meet in person, but nobody could come. If there's no restrictions, then we could meet there. We could meet anywhere. We could meet at a
Right.
different, yeah. Okay. So what date in June?
There's either
I'd ask
June,
what date works for you, Pam, but if all goes well, you'll be doing something else.
yeah, so we'll see. So maybe, well, when are exams? Because we're looking at June 8th or maybe June 16th.
I don't have any exams, so I can't speak on that.
How does Wednesday, June 8th sound? That seems like before exams, yeah? Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay. And do you want to do 6:30 or 7?
Whatever time works for you.
I'm good with 6:30, but whatever.
All right. Is everybody okay if we do 7? And the reason I ask is because I work 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. that day. No?
Sure. 7's fine for me. I'm fine to float with whatever time
Okay.
works.
Okay. If 7 doesn't work for you, Nishani, and you can join us for as long as you need to, then you're more than welcome to. Okay. So let's go with June 8th, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, wishing you all a very good night. Before we go, I just want to say, Pam, thank you for all the help that you've given to this committee, the previous committee, and anything I've ever had my hands in that I needed your help with, which are many things. There are not a lot of people at the town of New Tecumseh that can do the things that you can do.
Thanks,
And
Rick.
I know that every couple of years, you got to break out and get yourself into something new. I do that every few years, everywhere I go.
Yeah,
Every few years I do that. And that's how you grow, and that's how you learn, and that's how you advance. So congratulations.
thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. So.
Thanks. All right. Have a good night, everybody.